We'll read slowly this scripture here. It says, they prepare ye for the coming of the bridegroom, go ye out to meet him. For behold, he shall stand upon the mount of Olivet, upon the mighty ocean, even the great deep, and upon the islands of the sea, and upon the land of Zion. How will he stand upon the great deep? It says that when Christ comes again, he will stand upon the mighty ocean. Is he just going to be standing on the ocean out there and us to look at, or what?
I guess it'll be in our city that we build, our floating city.
Yeah, what we talked about in our last session, we're actually going to build cities on the ocean, and he will come and stand upon the cities.
It seems like those are describing all the different places that he could be, and he's basically saying he's everywhere.
Yeah, not everywhere. You'll have to come where people are prepared to meet him, wherever that is. But it's also, this isn't just one time, this is different time frames. For instance, we aren't going to build anything in Jackson County, Missouri in the immediate future. And may not be anything ready there when he comes, as a lot of the Mormons have said. But the only gathering place among these places where the pure in heart can be gathered together is upon the mighty ocean, where they can create a system of their own making, free from all the governments of the earth. There's a reason why this earth has 3/4 of it is water. 3/4 of our surface is water. Just think of that. Is that by accident? Or was it in preparation for the last days, when every ounce of land is claimed by somebody, that this is the only place left for the lives of the world to gather and meet? I will, just to catch filling up, we're reading one more interesting scripture. DNC 61:16, it shall be said in days to come, that none shall be able to go up to the land of Zion upon the waters, but he that is upright in heart. Now there's two ways to read this. You think of going to the land of Zion on the earth, across the waters. That's the normal interpretation. But there's another way to read this. Going to the land of Zion upon the waters. Meaning the land of Zion will be built upon the waters, and the pure in heart will go to the land of Zion upon the waters. Interesting verse, right? 61:16. We shall build the land of Zion upon the waters, where Christ shall come and place his feet even upon the great deep, the mighty ocean. When he comes, he will visit the land of Zion upon the waters. Interesting thought, is it not? I wasn't going to rebuild this for some time, but I feel that we're a little bit behind schedule, and there are people in need to have a vision of things to come. And this will not be immediate. We will gather, first of all, in cities and build businesses, create wealth, and eventually gather our wealth about 20 or so years from now and begin the construction of the land of Zion upon the waters. And a highway shall be cast up in the midst of the great deep, which shall be a place for the redeemed to pass over. We will build the highway. The land of Zion upon the waters will be a highway upon the waters. And eventually it will connect the continents. Eventually there will be a highway built clear across the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. This will be the greatest construction project in the history of man. And it may take 1,000 years to complete. But it will be a very interesting one. Now, one of the purposes of the gathering is to gather the lights together so that they can create a system that has never been in existence before, better than any other system. And when it is in the operation of it has began, then what will happen will be the same thing that happened when America was founded. People will say, we want to be more like America. Let's make our Constitution like them. People will say, we want to have more great freedoms. Like those people over there in America, they got all kinds of freedoms. We want freedom. And so the people of the various nations have demanded more freedom because of the gathering that took place in America. I'm not talking about the gathering of Mormons, but just the gathering, the general gathering that created America was created through the gathering principle, which is the principle behind all evolution. And the same thing, the next thing. And the next gathering will be building a cooperative system, which will incorporate the best of free enterprise, the best of capitalism, but go beyond that and teach the principles of cooperation so that there will be no poor amongst the people that are willing to work anyway, yet everybody will eventually be made rich. It's interesting, in America today, there are about only 20% of the workforce working on creating wealth. 80% are moving the wealth around. You ever realize that? 80% of people do nothing but move wealth, not creating it. In other words, let's say the average person works 40 hours a week, and we decided to create a cooperative system where everybody shared in the manufacturing, which would mean that everybody would only have to work 8 hours a week to create the wealth we now have.
Where do I sign up?
Imagine if we decided to double the wealth and we work 16 hours a week. Nobody moves the wealth around. The wealth, all the moving around of the wealth is done by volunteer work. So all the moving around of the wealth is done by volunteers. The manufacturing is done by the citizens, and all we would have to work is 8 hours a week to produce the wealth that we currently have. And in foreign countries, some of the foreign countries, it's probably 5 hours a week. Because American workers are more productive than some foreign nations are. So wouldn't that be great? Imagine if we worked 30 hours a week, how much wealth we could have. We'd have so much wealth that it would be meaningless. There'd be so much abundance that you just go pile up your wheelbarrows over everything that you want and take it home. So probably about working 16 hours a week, if every citizen shared in the manufacturing, we could produce all the wealth that we wanted. If we doubled our wealth, imagine if we doubled our wealth through cooperative living. But that's a fascinating thing. 20%, only about 20% of the people are creating wealth. 80% of people are moving wealth around. Let's pick 3 people who have jobs. Fran, what do you do?
I drive transit bus, BTA and Provo.
Transit bus?
Yeah.
What's the,
Mass
what's the,
transit bus, you know. When you take the bus, goes in.
oh, okay. And he's not creating any wealth, but he's doing kind of a necessary job in today's society. There are necessary jobs, and then there's moving wealth, and then there's creating wealth. Being participating to some degree, but okay, who else has a job here? Raise your hand. Yeah, what do you do for a living?
I run a nursery and floral business.
Okay, another service, moving the wealth around. And a lot of us do this, but you know, a lot of this could be done by volunteers. If we concentrated on creating wealth, and then have volunteer people that just want to do it as a hobby, move the wealth around, then we could create a society with quite a bit of wealth. Now, a lot of people in government, what percentage of people work in government? Do you know? You keep track of that kind of stuff.
I don't know for sure what a real number is.
About 20-30% or something like that. That's a really big number.
Including public schools.
Yeah, well, not including public schools.
Well, it's a government job.
Yeah.
Depends if the Democrats or the Republicans are.
Yeah, but And most of the people in government, they move wealth around. Managers move wealth around. A lot of people move wealth around. And one thing the Salvation Army kind of proves is that they make extremely efficient use of money given to them by volunteer workers that take it and by volunteers move it around without having to pay them. Mormon Church does pretty good at this too. The fact that they move wealth around that's given to them for the poor and different things. And a lot of the churches are able to do this. Some of them fairly effectively, some of them not. But it's possible to produce a system where the manufacturing can be done by just working much less time than we work now and producing it. Yeah.
Is there a difference between working for someone and being self-employed?
As far as what?
What you're talking about?
No, not really. You can be self-employed and produce wealth, or work for somebody else and produce wealth.
And you say wealth in terms of products?
Yeah.
Oh, is she sold real estate? Is that really nothing?
Yeah. No, you can actually get by without a real estate agent. If you want a house, and we have a cooperative system says you can have a house. We got a volunteer here to show you a house if you want. It can happen pretty quickly. Yeah. Yeah. I used to be a real estate agent, so I have sympathy for them.
I'm having some trouble with your definition of wealth, in that I see only two basic areas for the production of wealth. One would be through renewable resources, and the other through fossil fuels, fossil commodities. Those would be the only two.
Well, whenever you build a house, you're creating wealth. Whenever you manufacture a car, you're creating wealth. Whenever you're farming and you have some potatoes, you have commodities which you want.
I understand when I plant one seed, I can get several loaves of bread. In other words, in 1 year, I can produce enough food to feed 128 people in America. Because we want to have one plant.
Yeah.
So the definition of created wealth is a little bit difficult to pinpoint for each person.
Well,
Yeah, right.
It's ambiguous.
Yeah, creating wealth is anything that you buy in the store that's worth money.
Instead of creating
So
wealth,
you create these things. Now, another thing we can do is not only this, but we will also be having people create wealth for us, because we will be able to be innovative and have people that's not even part of our group manufacturing for us also. But what the manufacturing that we need, we can't be done anywhere else. We can share, and it wouldn't take very many hours to create everything that we need. Yeah.
So what you're saying about creating wealth is taking raw materials, putting them together to create something that's worth value to somebody else,
Yeah.
selling it off and getting the money back to buy more raw materials to make more, to keep amassing more and making more. So we're becoming productive, but we're actually creating an item that somebody else would be considered valuable.
Right. But see, also, when we are gathered, we'll also use common sense. We will concentrate on creating the wealth that is practical for us to create. Other times, we will say another nation can make widgets with so cheap that it's kind of spinning our wheels for us to do it ourselves, so we'll buy the widgets from them. You know, and then put the widgets together to make something maybe more ingenious than other people are doing. So different, we'll apply practical business principles to the whole concept. But the basic point I wanted to make is that we will, it will not take that many hours to produce the wealth that we need for us. Yeah.
I think one of the big reasons that is implied that we'll have all this extra time on our hands is will be working to create necessary basic services instead of all of the excesses that we have. We won't need a police force, we certainly won't need lawyers, we won't need all of the different.
Now, see, lawyers can be done by volunteers. We don't need to pay lawyers $1 million to solve a case.
There's just such a mountain of things that we don't need. Advertising, I can't imagine what the nationwide budget in advertising will be, certainly not needed. There's so much that we now pay for that we really don't need in a perfect society.
Yeah, anybody would be free to advertise, but a lot of advertising won't be needed. You know, if everybody knows, they can just go get their house. Well, who has to advertise it? You know, yeah, so,
So it's the free end principle. You either manufacture, you mine, or you make new technology.
yeah. And we'll be concentrating a lot on making new technology and also concentrating a lot on sales. We'll be taking things from different nations and everything and selling it to, we'll be international salesmen. And we'll train a sales force to do things that have never been done before. And we'll do it all from the ocean, and all the profit we make will be tax-free. Because we'll be our own country.
Please
Yeah.
clarify for me. So people like doctors and teachers are all volunteers?
Not doctors, we'll still train doctors, but many of the things that doctors do can be done by volunteers. Like, oftentimes you go see a doctor, he says, well, here's a prescription, you know. You could train somebody in a month to write that prescription and study the symptoms. But there's certain specializations that will require a lot of training, just like it does now. But there's a lot of things that doctors do that could be done by a 12-year-old kid, you know. Same thing with attorneys.
But would those doctors then still have to work 16 weeks because in essence, by your system, if I'm understanding it correctly, they are a doctor by volunteer?
Well, we'll put a lot of concentration on prevention and on natural healing. And so the regular doctors, we won't need nearly as many as we do now.
Well,
Farmers, into the soil, cow, chicken.
We'll have to farm and we'll produce our own goods.
Hydroponically, right?
And if we use the minerals from the ocean as nutrients to farm with, we'll make tremendously nutritious food.
JJ, I'll be a judge. I'll volunteer as a judge.
Well, we
Okay,
don't have lawyers.
what?
I disagree that that's gotta make sense. You don't need lawyers, you don't need doctors, you don't need policemen, you need all the things you need right now. For example, a doctor, how many people are
Yeah, we'll also do a lot of hydroponics and we'll shift into by probably where the United States is sort of environmentally conscious, they probably won't win any votes. Okay, my next question.
JJ,
Yeah.
I disagree that you'll ever create a society like that in the near future that will not require doctors, lawyers, and policemen. You know, there may be a lot more productive. For example, a doctor today, look how many
I never
people...
said we wouldn't need doctors.
No, but-
I said we wouldn't need as many.
Yes, but a doctor today has to support all the people that handle the insurance claims and all the people involved in the insurance industry. The doctor just came in and did the doctoring that he needed to do while his nurse wrote the prescriptions and another nurse took care of the minor things. You know, he would be so much more productive, right?
In fact, I was reading about a doctor that got so fed up with all the paperwork,
Right.
he switched over to cash only.
Yes, we've read
And a
about it.
lot of his patients were people that already had insurance that were willing to pay cash even though they had insurance just because they were getting a lot better care. So I found that quite
And
fascinating.
it costs a lot less.
Yeah, and it cost a lot less.
And you still need lawyers as much as we often despise them, because even in a
Yeah,
perfect...
I didn't say we wouldn't need policemen, we'll need policemen.
But even in a perfect society, a relatively perfect society, when you have people, you know, of goodwill, you know, very complex technological society, you have to make agreements. And often you don't know the implications of them. You have to have somebody that arbitrates and helps you design your...
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff attorneys do can be done by just arbitration. But we probably probably need professionals in a number of areas yet. Whatever we need, that's what we'll do. In other words, a lot of people, when they make plans, they say it's going to be this way and A, B, C, and I'm not saying that. Because you cannot plan perfectly any new enterprise. You can never plan it perfectly. You can just get a basic idea. We want to have minimal doctors, minimal attorneys, minimal police force. How much we need will be depending, but that's be depending on circumstances. And in the creation of anything, it's trial and error. When you see something isn't working, you try something else until it does work. And that's what you have to do. When you have these organizations where you have some prophet saying that it's going to be this way and no other way, it never works because it doesn't allow for imperfections. It doesn't allow for reconstruction. It doesn't allow for dissolving the old system and creating a new. And that's what made America so prosperous is they, through trial and error, they figured out what worked and what didn't work. It always has to be through a certain amount of trial and error.
I would say what made America really great in large part was laissez-faire capitalism, which allowed people to find the niche where they could supply the product most efficiently that somebody else needed.
Yeah, basically freedom was allowed to work. And this always has to be the case, yeah.
I take it authors who write books will be working for free too.
No, nobody will be working for free. Everybody gets paid.
But they'll have to put in their 16 hours.
Yeah, I don't have time to explain it all. I'll eventually we'll write a book on how I see it working.
Cool.
But it'll go into steps. The first step is the molecular business. I've already written that. That's the bridge step to it. Because people need incentive. And that still allows incentive. We can't get into a completely cooperative society until people see how it works. And it has to be started with still a lot of good old-fashioned incentive to cause people to work. Yeah.
Just one last comment. I mean, we can see what you're saying actually being manifested in the world right now. In computer software right now, like for example the Linux operating system, a lot of software is being written literally by volunteers, maintained by volunteers, and now big corporations like IBM are going to use it and sell it. So there's a lot of software out there now. Matter of fact, almost all the software on my website was created by volunteers and didn't cost me very little.
Yeah, that's what makes things work, is when the guy at the bottom of the totem pole has power to have input. And he's often one with the best ideas. Okay, now we need to switch over to, any other questions on this before we switch over? What? Yeah. Okay, we'll be talking more about it. So maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later on, so formulate any questions you might have. Okay, we're going into the ceremonial magic phase of this. And the first thing we want to do, what's our, yeah, I want to do one. Is that not able?
Here they are, JJ.
Huh? I can see a lot of
Oh, he just wanted one thing.
reach their page and they make all the money they want to make. And they never volunteer to help in some way.
Okay, let's do some modes. We'll say the avatar invocation. Want to do this while we're still, we don't have a lot of food on our stomachs because it seems to work better when we're a little bit lighter. In the last gathering, we talked about the avatar synthesis, which is a great avatar that was prophesied would come and assist the Christ in his work. And he would work invisibly behind the scenes. He's such a great entity that he can only descend to the mental levels. Does anyone know what that means? He can only descend to the mental levels. What does that mean, Susan?
Oh, yes. My message is that he can only be perceived mentally through our mind. We wouldn't be able to feel him or to see him.
Right, you could feel him though, because the mental body is connected to the emotional body, so you would still be able to feel. But in other words, he can come and approach a group and work through the group by transmitting spiritual power or transmitting impressions, transmitting revelation, transmitting things that will assist the Christ in his work. He's basically come to assist in preparing for the coming of Christ, and may probably be here after he comes. But he's called avatar synthesis, and DK tells us that he has come from another solar system to assist us here. And so we've written this avatar invocation, and last year we told everybody to think about the avatar synthesis and hope that by this year we would be perhaps mentally prepared to the degree to receive impressions from him. So let's go through the avatar invocation. Has everybody got it? Copy? I'll just read over it first. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the wills of men. Have you heard this before? Mm-hmm. Where's it from? Right, that's a line from the Great Invocation. And the rest of it takes off from there. Let the one great life manifest its purpose and send forth his avatar. Let this master of purpose come forth and amplify our wills to synthesize them with his own, giving us power to serve. Let the avatar synthesis manifest to the group of which I am a part, that we may prepare the earth for the Lords of light and love. Let will and power and purpose manifest the Christ on earth. And notice the great invocation ends with, let light and love and power bring the plan on earth. But here we have that will, power, and purpose. Because avatar synthesis is on ray 1. Ray 1 is the ray of power. And the scripture says Zion must needs be built by power. That's an interesting statement. What does that mean? Zion must needs be built by power. Yeah, money is power. Yeah, spiritual power, but needs spiritual power in order to have the good age come in and Zion be built. And also power over its enemies. It talks about Christ obtaining power over all his enemies, and the last enemy will be death that will be overcome. But in between humanity conquering, or the lights conquering death, and where they are now, they must conquer all of their enemies. And by conquering enemies, it means put their enemies in a situation where they have no power over them. Because whenever any light attempts to do something good, he always has some enemy come out of the woodwork that tries to stop him. From famous scientists to inventors to innovators of any kind, to revelators, to look at Jesus who was crucified. Whenever a light comes out of the woodwork to present a better way to do something, or something innovative, somebody comes out of the woodwork to try to stop him. Zion must needs be built with power. power must be given to the lights in order to neutralize their enemies. This is one of the purposes also of the Song of the 144,000, to protect the lights from negative forces, to surround them with light and love and power. So by saying this as a group, and eventually thousands of people will be saying it, and will bring down light and love and power, so the enemies of that which is good will not be able to overpower them. Because in every past age, sooner or later, the lights always get overpowered. After Christ was crucified, every one of the disciples except for John was killed. The church was prevented from manifesting the true spiritual powers it should have, because they were overcome by the beast of the time. And the same thing with every other attempt to create Zion on the earth. Okay, let's go through this. And we'll have a short pause between the stanzas. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men. Pause. Contemplate on what you just read. Say a silent home if you want. And the next one? Let the one great life manifest its purpose and send forth its satisfier. Let this master of purpose come forth and amplify our wills to synthesize them with his own, giving us power to serve. Let the avatar of synthesis manifest to the group of which I am a part, that we may prepare the earth for the lords of light and love. Let will and power and purpose manifest the Christ on earth. Okay, we put out that appeal and contemplate on this as we do our different types of group work. Contemplate on the possibility that Avatar or something is coming. And if we keep doing this and saying this invocation, sooner or later we're going to be picking up some very strong impressions. Yeah.
Does he only manifest to groups, or can he manifest to an individual?
He would prefer to work through groups, but it depends. If it's impossible for him to work through a group, he will work through an individual. But his energy is so powerful, it's best that he work through a group. Yeah.
You said before we started, before we said this, you said that every attempt was later overcome by the beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this danger still exists. This major project also of the highway.
Right, the danger. When the gathering takes place upon the ocean, you're going to have every nation in the world condemning it. Environmentalists will condemn it because we're doing something to the ocean, whatever it is. The governments will condemn it. Everybody will condemn it. It will go ahead anyway.
I'm saying something else.
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
It's not like they're Israel right now building that fence of theirs.
I'm saying that when it is materializing, and there are floating cities and there is this floating highway, that's the beasts might take over it.
That's why we have to start with a larger number than they can manifest against us. We have to start. that's why we're not gonna start with like 50 people or something. We're gonna start with thousands of people going out there with power and strength, financing, everything that we need to do it right. One of the problems the lights always have, they always try to do everything prematurely without any power to do anything, and they wind up failing time after time. When we're so anxious, we see a vision, we want to manifest it, and we take up half-cocked, ill-prepared, and we fail again and again. And I've had enough failures in my life to really understand this principle well. So, my failures I've had in my own life and business and other things that I have done have prepared me to see that this has to be done right. Without doing it right, without laying the foundation, without getting the numbers and the financing and the people and the support that we need, it would fail. It has to be done right. And everyone that's tried anything like this has been, 50 people is the most I heard of. I never heard of one with 50 people. Like Dan's talking about. Most of them have about 5 people interested in something like that. There's about, I don't know, I've come across about a dozen different projects to build their own nation somewhere. And they just can't get anybody interested. Yeah.
I need to clarify that. There were 50 people physically supposed to be working on the project, but he had hundreds of these, at least hundreds, maybe thousands. At least $10 million.
Connected on the internet, yeah.
Yeah, at least $10 million were raised.
Really?
We ended up going down the rat hole at the end, but yeah, there was a lot of people all around.
Yeah, I didn't realize it's that big, so. Huh. Yeah. That still wasn't enough though, was it?
No.
But you not only need that, you could have billions of dollars and not do it right and waste it all if you have people that are not in harmony with each other. Because the harmony is the hard part. This is why we teach soul contact so much. Because if we have a core group of soul contact who feel through the spirit that we're headed the basic right direction, then we won't have so many problems. But if you get a bunch of hardcore survivalists getting together, every one of them thinks different from the other guys, so it's really hard to get them to merge. That's the trouble, the lower evolved people, they get some authority over them. They're just united pretty good. But you get people evolving up to the mental plane. I mean, boy, all of them have different ideas. It's really hard to get the intelligent people together. And the only way to do it is through the soul, through the power of the soul. By them sharing the energy, the spiritual energy, so that they sense whether something is right. They're going to have that sense of that. And then even very strong, independent people will cooperate. And that's the only way to get cooperation out of very strong, independent people. Like yourself, you're an independent man. But if you felt something stirring within you that, like what I was saying was right, wouldn't you think, maybe I ought to give this a chance? Yeah. But if your mind tells you, if you didn't feel anything from the spirit and your mind says, I could come up with a lot better idea than that, then we wouldn't be cooperating, right? So that's the difference. And many of these highly mental people have this problem. Is that, boy, it's a big competition as to who's got the brightest ideas. And we'll probably, by the time we start this thing, we'll probably have 20 different constitutions written up by 20 different individuals that are trying to help us out. And they'll all be disappointed if we don't use them. So we'll probably have about 100 different logos created for something. Now is not the time to create logos. Now is not the time to create a constitution. Now is the time to just gather the lights. And when the time comes that we have some power, that will be the time to put everything together. And be thinking about what works now and what doesn't work. Okay, I mean that she's got me turned.
Oh, she's working on it.
Talk about independent people. These before?
That's pretty nice. Thought smoking.
There's an interesting thing about the story of Christ as it's told about 3 centuries after his crucifixion. And many of the very earliest pictures of Christ, it shows him with a wand in his hand. And he was healing by the power of a magic wand. Others have him with a scepter in his hand. Some type of scepter like a king. But some of the very early pictures have him either with a scepter or a wand, and there's very early stories that when he healed, he actually healed with the power of a wand. So it's quite a fascinating little story. And there's a certain amount of truth to that. All the legends and stories that we hear always hear have a certain amount of truth. Do you think there's truth behind the story of the magic wand? Does it have anything to do with, does it correspond at all to the fact that Moses had a rod himself, and Aaron? Yeah. And he parted the Red Sea through the power of the rod. So anyway,
Oh my God. Almost dropped it. That's some magic. Okay, everyone take your pillow and make a better object.
it's too bad there's no, I guess we did get some video of it. The audio people won't be able to understand that. I was just thinking when I was holding it, it wouldn't be funny if I just dropped it and splattered it. Then I decided to pull it out. Should have seen, she just about jumped out of her seat. Okay. Improvising in those. Okay, what we're going to do as a group, this is going to be our group crystal. And we're going to energize it with our energy. And the teaching behind crystals is they're capable of absorbing energy. And Brent just talked about what he did when he slept on this small crystal. Imagine if we give him that big crystal. He'd wake up with a headache anyway.
Yeah, you would. Could I explain some things to them about this?
Yeah. Just take a minute because
Because of my
We'll be
experience,
short
I
of
learned
time.
a few things about them. This particular crystal is called smoky quartz.
To the microphone, it's got to be recorded.
This is called a smoky quartz. You see it's in a kind of a pyramidal, but it's got more than inside. This is cut this way. It didn't grow like this. This came from another crystal. Okay, but it's well cut and looks very nice. Now you'll notice.
Are you sure it's cut or not?
It's cut. Yeah, I'm
How do
pretty
you know
sure
it's cut?
Well, for one thing, the edges are so sharp, you know, and they're kind of uneven. And each point where they join right here, they're not precise, which is kind of a way of making it look more natural. But this has been polished and it has been cut. It's a little pointy right here. If you look at a natural one, it doesn't look like this. And plus, there's not that many sides. So natural.
Natural.
But it's natural. It's a natural thing. This has been cut. Okay.
Now, money back.
This is worth probably about $80. It's, like I said, it's smoky quartz. And the reason why it's smoky quartz is certain.
I can't find out anything on the internet. The cheapest one I saw on the internet like this was about $300.
Well, if it's natural, yeah.
It's natural?
Yeah, this is okay. Now, you'll notice, this is what's really interesting, I think, about this. You'll see these, what looks like cracks or something on the inside. See all that there? Okay. When this crystal was being formed, as with most crystals, water gets trapped over the course of time as it's forming very slowly. This takes a long time. This is not something overnight. And so as it's forming, the water is trapped and creates fissures inside the crystal. And so this business you see here could be, I mean, hundreds and thousands of years old. That's what's really interesting. Smoky quartz is pretty common crystal. The smokiness is caused by mineral content that's forming in the crystal as it's being created. Potassium makes the amethyst. But you know what's interesting is there's this other one called rose quartz. You ever heard of rose quartz? Okay. They do not know why it's rosy color like that. There is not a scientific explanation for why rose quartz becomes rosy color. They do know why this is smoky, and they know why the amethyst is purple like, but they don't know why rose quartz is rosy in color.
Thank you. Are you sure this is natural? What do you think the shape of whoever was for the feather?
Oh, well,
And they can actually saw it, so it's a.
oh yeah.
I have natural crystals, JJ. They kind of grow crooked, and they have a little ledge, and then a little ledge.
This is about the best one I've seen of all of them I looked at.
Well, I'm not trying to promote it.
Yeah,
I
If
I
they
know.
cut them, they are separate.
Yeah,
It kind of makes it better.
Yeah.
and it certainly is not going to affect its metaphysical ability.
Yeah.
You can still do the job.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to energize this with all of our energies. And we're going to sound the home as we go along. First of all, concentrate with it in my hand. Visualize the light coming out of your third eye and going to the tip of the crystal.